everyone, it's Shel C from PaperOcotilloStudio, and today I'm sharing with you a little project I did really early in the morning or really late at night if you want to choose. Um, these things on the desk are paper coasters from a restaurant. I don't know if I picked them up or if someone sent them to me. They don't look familiar, so I think someone sent them to me. But this would be something that you would have on your table at the restaurant. Maybe you don't want to throw it away. Maybe you want to make it into something really fun. And that's what I decided to do this morning when I woke up for no apparent reason. So the first thing I did was I gessoed one side of them. I actually put 2 coats of gesso on. I it the paper seems absorbent, which is logical if it's a paper coaster because the idea of the coaster is to absorb the condensation of your drink, right? Or any spillage that you might have of your drink. So I think it's a very porous absorbent paper. So I went ahead and double gessoed that to get it all sealed up so that it wouldn't absorb a bunch of product. The first one, I started out with acrylic paint in my fingers. I'm using a light teal, a darker teal, an olive green, a brown sienna color, and then some Naples yellow. And those are just medium grade paints, and I'm applying it with my finger. And when I was happy with the way it went, I decided to do some stenciling. These stencils are from Stencil Girl Products and designed by Seth Apter. It is a set of ATC stencils. It comes 9 to a sheet on a stencil, and I cut them up and put them on a ring. It's easier for me to use that way. And I use different ones. I was really looking more for pattern, but then I ended up with this word heal. And I also thought as I was putting on the colors that it kind of reminded me of a globe, and I was trying to get away from that globe thing. So then I put the stenciling on, and now it reminds me of the Death Star. Circular things are weird, okay? So I decided to leave the word heal because, heal the world, that seems really appropriate. Holiday season, problems with the pandemic, problems with racism. It was serendipitous. So I thought that there was just too much pattern in that white that I put on there. So I decided to do some collage with painty papers that were on my desk, different ones in kind of green colors with a little bit of pattern on them. I change it up a little bit, but I did want that word, so I didn't collage over the top of it. The glue I used for the collage is Yoo-Hoo glue stick, and it's the one that starts out blue and turns clear when it's dry. And I've got some lightweight paper, some deli paper, and this one's actually tissue paper that has some staining on it with, I think, alcohol ink. And just putting those on. This is one of those unplanned, unscheduled, not really sure what I'm doing, just want to, do something. I haven't been in the studio. I've been taking a huge break from art and life. I've been playing video games. I've been reading books. I've been watching the Disney Channel. Yeah, I needed a break. I was burned out. So I'm starting back up. I'm starting to get a few little things done. And I went into the studio. It was really early. Nobody else was awake. It's still dark outside. And I thought, I'm going to make something. So then I saw these little coasters and I said, that's it. That's what I'm going to make. I'm going to make some fridge magnets. I think that these would be super cute to give as gifts, like maybe with neighbors or people who do service for you, whether they're doing bringing your mail or your packages. I mean, obviously, all of us are going to be online shopping because, for safety reasons, we're not going to be going out. So there'll be a lot of packages delivered, as there are anyway. I mean, I online shop all the time anyway. I don't like to go out. So maybe this would be a good gift to give the people who drop off the packages, or little stocking stuffers. I think they're cute. They're super cute. And I didn't waste anything. I didn't throw anything away because these little coasters were just things that you would throw away. And now there's something cute and fun. So I did a little bit more stenciling, a little bit of maybe some finger painting. I can't remember. Added back in some teal and some black. And then I'm using my white Posca pen, acrylic paint pen. Love, love, love Posca pens. To just, I also use my black Posca pen to add detail, bring out that word. And then these are Stabilo Woodies. Stabilo is a really water reactive pigment pencil, and they come in small ones, but then these are like all kinds of colors in this larger size. I think designed for children. Doesn't matter. They're great for this. I've just really been loving them. Maybe my hands are tired of fussy little things and I just want to have big scribbly things. But this is perfect for putting in some extra color, highlighting. And I thought I was done, and then I decided, no, I'm not done. It's too matchy-matchy. It's too all one color. So I decided to add in the opposing color to these colors, which would be a red or orange. That would be opposite on the color wheel. And yeah, added a little orange, a little bit red to make that word really stand out from the background. And then, of course, I was using the woodies again, and they're real fat. They do come with a pencil sharpener that's a big fat pencil sharpener, so you could sharpen them down to more of a point. Never actually sharpened them. I just I just left them the way they are. So sometimes I need to go back over and do my lines again because maybe I covered something up a little bit. They're not completely opaque, but they're pretty darn opaque. So it's all good. I decided to just do that. And then I felt like I was done. I did put paper on the backs of all of these. It's just a gel print. And I glued that on. And then I have a roll of strip magnet that's a stick-on kind. And I stuck it on to see how it would work. Took it downstairs to see if it would work on the fridge. I have a lot of weak magnets, and I wanted something strong, you know? And I do have some button magnets. Maybe I should have used those instead, but I had this strip stuff. I just wanted to use it up. So then to finish it off, with the other three, I didn't put the magnets on first because this magnet roll stuff, it's in it wants to curl because it's been in that form for so long, being on that roll, that it curled my paper a little bit. So I ended up with what I'm using on this one is Glossy Accents. It's a self-leveling, and so I ended up with kind of a bump at the bottom where the magnet had curled. You can't see it in the pictures, but the magnet had curled just a little bit, and so that self-leveling Glossy Accents kind of went to the bottom and made a little bit of a bump. It's not that noticeable, but yeah, magnets go on last. But of course I was impatient. I wanted to see if it would work. So that's how it goes. For the second one, I decided to do some collage. A little tip, and you'll see me really do it at the end just so that I can show you how it works. If you have a sanding block, any kind of sanding block, but I have a pack of these very small ones that are for doing nails, and I got them off of Amazon. I'll make sure that they are linked in the description box below. If I forget, I know that they are on my Amazon page. I have a store there, there's a link to my Amazon store thing down there below the video, and it has little categories that I have created with things that I think are useful. And these little block sanding things for your fingernails are really useful. And what they're useful for is if you're doing a project like this, and you have paper that you've glued on and you have it going over the edges. No matter how nicely you cut, you will always have a rough edge, right? It's just going to be a rough edge. And since all these have a piece of paper on the back to cover up whatever is on the back, because these coasters are printed on both sides. they've got advertisements on both sides. It's great to just take that little sanding block and to sand, just go like flick, 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 flick along the edge and then smooth, smooth along the edge, and you'll get a really nice smooth edge on your circle. You've seen me do this before when I did like this circle and oval ATCs. It's just a good little tip, something I learned a long time ago. But it's a good little, just something good. I think I think this one turned out to be my favorite, or maybe the next one. I'm not sure, but it's very abstract. This has some stenciled papers that are gel printed, and then this one in the center with the, like kind of a chain looking thing was stenciled onto some underpaper with a stencil that was designed by Ray Missigman. And the more I use that stencil, the more I just really love it. It's from Stencil Girl, but it was from the club. So if you join Stencil Girl Club, you can buy past months stencils. You get you pay $25 a month if you're in the United States, a little bit more if you're overseas, and you get 3 stencils every month that come automatically, and they're ones that nobody else can get. You can't buy them. You got to be in the club. But if you're in the club, you get a Facebook group. The stencils come automatically. You get videos from Mary Beth and from the person who designed the stencils for that month, and all kinds of stuff. There's party call swaps and all kinds of things in that group. It's really worth the $25. That includes shipping. You don't pay separate for shipping. You get a 9 by 12, a 6 by 6, and a 4 by 4 stencil exclusive. Anyway, that's enough about that. So that Ray Missigman, like botanical looking tangled roots type of a stencil, really cool. But I stenciled it on underpaper, and then I did some pen work, and then after I glued it onto this, I also added some more Stabilo Woodies around here and there, and some splatter with the black pen. I think this one, of course, has a funny quote on it too, which I think it's probably my favorite. I'm not sure. Not sure. The other one, the next one, that there's like 2 that I'm doing simultaneously on the next section. Also, the last part of my video, it didn't get edited very well because the editing software, the free editing software I was using, which is unsupported at this point, was being a jerk. And so it wouldn't let me edit the last part, so I just sped it up. And I get frustrated, but then I also get frustrated trying to buy something and learn it, and yeah, so that's where I'm at. So this time I used Judikin's brand of glossy stuff. You know, I made those earrings not that long ago, and I used the Mod Podge glossy stuff, and so I ordered the glossy accents and the Judikin's one, which I think is called Crystal Effects. Is that right? Crystal Effects or Diamond Glaze. There's another one that's called Diamond Glaze. Whichever one. I ordered a couple of them because my Mod Podge one was about empty, and I just wanted to see if there was a difference. There isn't. Hashtag no difference. It's all the same stuff. But it makes a really cool plasticky looking sealed coat over whatever you did, and it makes it look more like something like, you know, like a button or something, or in this case, a fridge magnet. So it's fun to put that over the top. So that stuff you just saw me put through the stencil is something called pastel ground. And I was looking, I think somewhere I have watercolor ground, and I wanted to use watercolor ground. I wanted to experiment with watercolor ground, but I couldn't find it. And maybe I don't have it. Maybe I only have pastel ground, but it's a medium. It's a medium from this one's from Golden, but other companies make the same stuff, and it's got sand or something, plaster, something scratchy in it. And the point of that stuff, usually you spread it on, and then it gives your paper more tooth or more absorbency. In the case of watercolor ground, it would be more absorbency because watercolor paper is absorbent, but what if you're using a canvas, or what if you're using something else and you want that same type of a feeling of watery, colory stuff that absorbs, but you're not on a watercolor paper? Then you can put the watercolor ground on, and that's the purpose of it. So this one, for pastels, you need a paper that has a lot of scratchy tooth to it to pick up the pastel off of whatever you're applying it with and to let it sink down in and grab. So you know me, I just wanted to try something different. So I decided to use it as a texture paste because it has that same type of thick consistency. So I just put a stencil down and scratched it through and made a raised surface. And then when I heated it, um, it even bubbled up a little bit because a lot of mediums will do that. And then I put watercolor on it. Those watercolors that you saw were Christy Taylor's fluid watercolor. I bought it from Christy Taylor's shop, and they have really cool names. I just put some in a palette, put it on there, a couple layers, letting that dry. And while I'm letting that one dry, I'm working on this one, which is another collage one with some more of these gel printed papers with alcohol ink from a few weeks ago. These are on deli paper. And this blue one, that little section, I will do a close up of it. It's just so cool. I think it was some stuff was left on the plate and I put some blue paint and picked it up. So it was one of those kind of pick up, clean up prints. Don't even know for sure what stencil it was or anything, but that it's hard to see on the video, I know, but that section is just so cool. You'll see it in the close up. It's that kind of darker section on the blue paper on the right hand side. So then I just added some other paper scraps. I end up adding some printed tissue, just different papers to make it interesting. I love doing this abstracted collage. I just really want to, that's all I want to do. I love doing it. I just love it. I love the combination of being able to pick out my papers in colors and patterns that I think are interesting, put them down in interesting shapes and patterns, and then, do something over the top or whatever. I'm in love with it. I don't know why. I don't know why. It's all I want to do. Abstract. Abstract collage. It's all I want to do. So I guess I'm putting the backing on this one. I think that one might be my favorite, maybe. The one with the really cool scribble on it. Mark making, another thing I'm really obsessed with. That mark was made with a Pentel pocket brush, which is an India ink pen that has a flexible synthetic brush, and then you can get it. It's called a pocket brush, but you can get the little ink cartridges. Once it runs out, you can put a new little cartridge in it. In fact, if you buy it, you get 2 cartridges, I think. The package has 2 cartridges, and then I've since had to order more, and you can get like 4 at a time. They just pop in there, and then you have this forever little brush that has India ink in it. It's flexible, so I can make fat marks and then thin marks and fat marks and thin marks by the pressure and angle of what I do with the brush. And that's how I made that scribble, which is that right there is a shell scribble. That's the kind of mark that I like to make. It makes me happy. Um, you know, I think it's a style. I'm not sure. I don't really understand when people say you have a style, your art has a style. I can recognize it. I never think I have one of those, although people say that I do. But if I do, it's that right there. That right there is my style. So I put some little splatters on, dried everything up, and then I went back to this other one with the raised surface on it. I was curious, for one, what watercolor would do on pastel ground. Would it make a difference? And it did. The pastel ground absorbed the watercolor and the background was less intense, where the gessoed area on the background was less intense. So that answers that question. I also wanted to see if it would stay raised like a texture paste, which it did. This is very bumpy. And then I decided I would color the raised sections just to make it more interesting. Color the raised sections with the Stabilo woodies. And I have my watercolor water, and I'm dipping the woody into it to make the tip a little bit more moist and creamy when I color it on the raised parts. And it just makes it more interesting. I probably should have just left it like that and put a word or something, but I didn't. I just kept going. So here I'm putting a word on, and I added a couple line swooshes, sanding the edge like I was talking about, making sure that it's all smooth. I also used a black ink pad on the edges of all of them to finish the frame and to cover up the raw edge of the paper where I sanded it. Because, it would remain white, which would be okay in some cases, but here's where I really show you what you can do with the sanding block. Instead of cutting around this one, I just flick, 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 flick around the edges and sand the paper right off. And that makes it absolutely flush to the edges, and there's nothing hanging over, and there's no jagged edges. And yeah, I just kind of worked to these simultaneously because I was needing to let the watercolor one dry. I put my thumb right in the middle of that heel trying to bend it, and it wasn't dry yet. Actually, the watercolory one with what I put on it is in the pictures not completely dry. I was impatient. I wanted to get my video done. You can see in the close-up it's a little bit cloudy still, but the other ones are fairly dry. So I think I used glossy accents again, and then I used the Diamond Glazer Crystal Effects, whichever one it is, again on this one. It just seemed plain. I wanted to put something else on there. And you remember it's raised. It's bumpy, right? So everything I did didn't make me happy, but it is done. This is another stencil from Stencil Girl. I can't remember if this one was club or not. It's a mask, actually. It's not a stencil. The stencil means a sheet of paper with things cut out of it. The mask is the parts that are cut out, right? I know everyone gets confused. So I stenciled that on with a little bit of white, and it didn't show up at all. It's like, meh, that's nothing. So then I decided to take my pocket brush. Again, this is a permanent India ink in a flexible tipped brush. And I went around the stencil, drawing all the lines. And you can kind of see the pattern now, but it's still pretty meh. Pretty meh. So then I got out the Stabilo Woodies, and I decided to work on it. I got out some glitter glue. I got out a glitter pen, which is like an alcohol ink pen that has a brush tip from Spectrum Noir, and it didn't do what I wanted. In fact, it was lifting up the black ink. So that didn't work. So I was like, no, I don't like that. So then I actually got out a Stickles glitter glue and put that on. And then a word and some of the glossy sealer over the top. And this one was done too. There is pictures and close-ups coming up in a minute. If you like this, please remember to do all the things to make my channel grow, like give me a thumbs up, a comment, a question. That is it for me for this video. Bye-bye.